escaping from jail would be cool. So yeah, sure. That's like basically been my whole life, like since I was like 4 or 5. Romanian American is the best way to put it, because there's a lot of beauty in just everywhere around you, and like you just have to go looking for it. So.
Good afternoon, Radu. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good as well. Thanks for making the time. It is afternoon on your side, evening on my side. The first question I ask, as always, is about people's usernames. If I'm not mistaken, your username is actually your first name, maybe your family name as well, Radu C, RC, Radu. What do you go by on GeoGuessr?
Yeah, I think most people call me RC, which is like completely fine. That's usually what I go by. And then people do also call me my actual name, which is Radu. Yeah. Yeah, and
do you have a preference though?
My last name. Not really. No. I honestly like whatever people prefer. I think people just say RC because that's easier, and that's like completely fine.
And this is only the username you have on GeoGuessr, or do people call you RC in other walks of life?
I don't really like play other things, so this is like the only thing. So yeah. Obviously,
do you want to?
They'll just say Radu.
That's fair. Do you want to tell us more about the origin of your first name? Because it's a bit unusual. You have a perfect American accent.
Yeah.
Only if you're comfortable sharing about the origin of it.
Yeah, so I think like most of the community knows this, that I do have Romanian heritage. So both my parents are Romanian, but I have lived in the US my whole life. So yeah, I've been to Romania a lot of times, and obviously speak the language, and yeah.
Do you still have some family over there in terms of?
Yeah, I do. I have some, not that much. A lot of my family has moved from Romania. I think that's just like a common trend with a lot of Romanians, but yeah, I do still have a little bit of family there.
It is indeed a common trend. You have it's actually quite a problem for Romania as a political entity to keep enough people in the workforce. A lot of people are trying to find better jobs elsewhere. I can't really blame them. Yeah. Although I find the country very beautiful. I have been there many times. Not many highways, and this is a common issue in Romania. And the joke also that there's a lot of EU funds going for the highways, but they're just not being built for whatever reason, or corruption in the country. But it's actually a very interesting country, and I feel it's actually underdeveloped in terms of tourism. You know, there's all the, as you probably know better than I do, all the mythology or the legend around Dracula. All the castles, the mountains, our bears. I think it's the largest population of bears in Europe. Can't compete with Europe or with the US or Canada, but it's the largest population of bears. You have access to the Black Sea. Anyway, I talk a lot about it because I've been there a few times. How do you feel yourself in terms of, you talk about heritage? Do you feel American? Do you feel American Romanian? How do you feel?
I think Romanian American is the best way to put it, because I do obviously feel a sense of attachment to Romania, just because that is like the culture that I grew up with, even though I lived in the US, in like my household at least. But at the same time, having lived here my whole life, it would be very difficult, at least for me, to just immediately move to Romania and just say, yeah, I'm living there forever, like, because it is a big difference.
Would you consider moving?
I mean, it wouldn't be out of the question. Obviously, there is like we said earlier, like an issue with moving out of the country because of jobs. So it would be probably unlikely that this would happen, but I wouldn't say no.
Tell us more about yourself, if you're okay to share. What do you do in life? How old are you? Where do you live in the US, roughly? Don't give too much details, because obviously a lot of the viewers, you know my usual joke, right? A lot of the viewers here are GeoGuessr players. They can pinpoint within 2 seconds where you live, to the exact street number.
Yeah.
So you want to be careful with that. But anything you can share about who you are, how old you are, what are you doing, studies or working already?
Yeah, so I am 19. I am in college here in Georgia, the state of Georgia. And yeah, I've lived in Georgia most of my life, and I'm currently studying geography, obviously, because as a GeoGuessr player, but Specifically, I'm trying to do like urban planning, hopefully an urban planning master's. But currently, I'm doing my bachelor's in geography.
This would lead to what kind of jobs afterwards? Like it's urban planning within cities or like governmental entities or like architecture agencies. Forgive my ignorance, I know nothing about the area.
Yeah, there's like a few different things you can do. Government is one of the areas, like in cities, like municipal governments. You can also do, there's a lot of, what's it called? Like advising or like just like on the private side, like private contractor sort of things, which is like pretty sought after a lot of times. But I don't really know which side I want to go to, just something in that field.
I guess you have a bit of time, right? You're in your on your first year of your bachelor's?
No, I'm in my second.
Second year.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have that much time. You're
Well,
you're halfway through.
yeah, I'm like pretty much halfway now.
Okay. Do you enjoy what you're studying?
I do, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I started out in like a science field when I first started university, and I was really not happy with how that was going. Just I found that even though I love like all sorts of sciences, like beyond just like geography, I'm really interested in like biology and stuff as well. But it wasn't. It just didn't feel right, and like going into geography, like I've just been a lot happier with yeah, just what I get to do.
Are you pursuing these studies because of GeoGuessr, or is it because you pursue these studies and you have already an interest, you already had an interest in geography related topics that you started playing GeoGuessr? Which way is it?
Pretty much my whole life I've been into geography, so getting into GeoGuessr was something that I actually started in high school, and so it does outdate my interest in geography in college perspective, but it's still like just because I've loved geography my whole life.
Were you the kind of nerd like I was of learning every capital city of every country and trying to learn the flags? Yeah, you're nodding.
Yes. I remember like I have like this vivid memory from like when I was little with my grandpa. I used to play like we would try and like name like capitals or countries like together, like, and sometimes you would do like the thing like where it ends in one letter, you think of like
Yes.
a capital in another letter, something like that. So that's like basically been my whole life, like since I was like 4 or 5. So yeah.
Okay, so I know what you're talking about. Since you're talking about urban planning a little bit, I read a book a couple of years ago. I don't know if you heard about it. It's a little bit about what you're referencing to in terms of urban planning. Subtract. Have you heard about this book? The Untapped Science of Less.
No, I don't think I have.
It's a bestseller. The cover is very distinguishable because it's all yellow and just has this backslash, like subtract sign. And it's very interesting because I know nothing about urban planning, and it talks about how us, at least in the Western world, we tend to think in terms of adding things. You know, adding a new highway, adding a new tunnel, and adding a new bridge. And we often struggle thinking about removing things to make urban planning better. So I think there was the example of something in San Francisco, the Embarcadero, I think in the 70s, and it was removed afterwards. And people were initially upset at removing something, but actually made things better. So I highly recommend the book because it provides a number of examples, mainly of architecture, but not only, to try and think that way, not always about adding new stuff, because it's the natural habit, especially when you have a home, right, or a room, and you're adding new things. It's difficult to get rid of junk or old stuff that keeps piling up. So anyway, just thought it'd be an interesting reference because I know nothing, and it connects to your field. GeoGuessr and geography. So you said you started in high school. What got you started? What did you see? Are you going to tell me like everybody, it's the same person on YouTube who's influenced you to start GeoGuessr?
Yes, it is.
Are we thinking about the same one?
Yeah, it's GeoWizard. Yeah, so I found GeoWizard when I don't even know when I was like 10th or no 9th. It was like the end of 9th grade, so it's been a while. I think it was like 2018. And yeah, obviously being into geography, I was like, ooh, this is interesting. I don't know. I feel like I've probably had like contact with GeoGuessr before, but like I just didn't really like know enough about it to actually get into it. But like when I watched like his videos, I was like immediately like, wow, this is cool. Um, just started playing. Like I saw one video and I was like, okay, I gotta give this a try myself, because like obviously like when you feel like you know a lot about geography and then you try GeoGuessr, it's like, oh, I gotta see like, can I actually do good? And then obviously I could not actually do good because no one's good at GeoGuessr when they start.
How much
Yeah.
do you practice? How much do you play these days?
Not that much, honestly. So I play
Hang on. Not that much. It's all relative, right? You have to
True,
give me
true.
a sense.
Yeah, so I play in the Rainbow tournaments, which is probably the only like hours of GeoGuessr that I actually play in a week. But I do a lot of like mapping in like my spare time, and
What do you mean by mapping?
like making GeoGuessr maps, or like just on Google Maps. Like I'm just like browsing Google Maps, and so that is where I get like a lot of my like just knowledge, just looking through like uh, coverage and like just seeing places on through mapping.
Do you have a specific area of expertise, whether it's specific road signs or a language? I'm not talking about Romanian, obviously, or English. Maybe a specific country beyond these ones that you have an area of expertise in.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are probably better than me at meta stuff. I do obviously like know a lot of the meta stuff, but it's not like but anywhere like near my level of like highest level of expertise. I would say that probably I just like looking into like specific like coverage and like kind of more niche stuff sometimes. And so the countries that I'm most into is obviously the US is like a big one. Pretty good at it, I would say. And then obviously not the best because there's a lot better people in like the US GeoGuessr community, but yeah. And then Latin America is like an area where like I like to think that I'm like, yeah, one of the best, especially the Andean countries. Like they've just always been like interesting to me, so yeah. And then recently like I was mapping Ukraine, and so that's like been an area where like I really got to like learn a lot, and like I felt like there weren't really other people who were like into like getting better at Ukraine, because it's a pretty big country, and like it's just not one that like people know that much about. It's like usually just hedging.
That's a very good point. It's true. We always talk about the US or Australia or Russia, the big land masses, and trying to get better at it, especially Russia. So do you read some Cyrillic?
Yeah, I can read Cyrillic. I actually learned it before I played GeoGuessr, which is definitely an advantage. So yeah.
Do you speak it or do you read it only?
Like what do you mean, like Cyrillic? Like
I mean, speak Russian?
no,
Sorry.
no, I don't
You don't-
speak Russian.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
just
You're a good point in terms of whether you speak Cyrillic. No,
Yeah.
of course I meant Russian in this case.
This is kind of weird, but like before I even played GeoGuessr, like I learned Russian script, like Cyrillic script. I learned Hangul, which is Korean script, and then I was like trying to learn Arabic, but I never like mastered it. I just I can like sort of understand it.
Do you still read Korean?
Yeah. And
Okay.
I do use it sometimes in GeoGuessr, and I think people are just like
Nice.
surprised that like I know it, or people just don't know
Nice.
that I know that.
I did learn, but I forgot to read Arabic because my work with my current employer actually covers the Middle East, Africa, and India.
Yeah.
And I started off with the Middle East, and I discovered that there's actually only 24 characters, and reading's actually not that complicated. What's more complicated, as always, is understanding what you're reading, because pronouncing,
Yeah.
the vowels and the consonants and whatever syllables are being formed by the letters or the characters rather, is not that complicated. I forgot everything, but actually Arabic was surprisingly easy to learn in terms of reading.
Yeah, the only thing is like because there's not really like vowels. There's like a few, but like vowels aren't written as much unless you're doing like the like classic Arabic. It can be like a little difficult because if you don't know the language, like inferring what it is like somewhat a little more difficult.
True. We talked about countries. Are there any countries you hope to visit one day because you have this interest in geography, or maybe you found something on GeoGuessr? You talk about Chile, Argentina,
Yes.
or Bolivia, the countries around this area of the world. Any country that you're particularly interested in visiting, or that you already visited, maybe?
Definitely the Latin American countries, like I said before. Just being able to map and learn about them, like, is like I've just learned so much about them, and it's like such a rich cultural area and like full of history. And so probably specifically the most that I would want to visit is Peru. But I definitely want to go to Colombia as well, and even like Ecuador, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina. So it's like particularly love the like just the mountainous areas of these countries. It's just such a rich area in terms of like landscape, history, culture, everything.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I've been lucky enough 10 years ago already to visit Peru. Went on a solo trip, took the buses, long distance buses actually from Lima to Arequipa.
Mm-hmm.
Then from Arequipa to Puno, which is on Lake Titicaca, but you probably know that better than I do.
I do.
And then all the way to Cusco, and there's way more than Machu Picchu, right? Lake Titicaca and just all the Inca stuff, the canyon, the mountains. It's a wonderful experience. And I have to say, maybe not exactly right now or in the recent weeks in Peru because of the political situation, but it's actually fairly safe.
There's like a level of like reasoning that you have to do yourself to like not put yourself in any danger.
Talk to me about your streaming / YouTube experience, because I notice you have just a few videos, but you have like 10,000 or almost subscribers, and you occasionally post videos. So what's the deal with that? What are you doing? What is your philosophy behind this? Or is it just for fun and occasionally you just post a video? What's the strategy?
It's like a very on and off thing with YouTube. The main problem for me is just getting actual like content out there. Most of it is due to like time, just being busy with school and other stuff. But also like a little bit of like insecurity, like with like when you're at almost 10,000 subs, you don't just want to post like whatever video. I don't know. That's just how I feel, and I know it's like something that's I know people would want to see more content from me, but I'm just like I kind of like hold myself to a really high level of like when I upload stuff, so it is kind of detrimental, but yeah, that's just how it is.
Any plans for the future?
Not really. It is kind of, I'm honestly kind of surprised that I've gotten this far because of like how little I've actually done to get to here, considering like the amount of videos I have and whatnot. So I don't think I will ever like actually pursue YouTube more seriously. It's just like I'm happy to put content out there.
You mentioned when you're not busy with school and other stuff. What do you do with the other stuff? What is it that you do when you're not playing GeoGuessr? What is the other stuff? I'm curious. Sports, you said no other games, but what do you do when you have some free time and it's not about studies? If you care to share, obviously.
Yeah, I guess mostly just hanging out with friends here at college. I've like gotten to meet some very cool people in my time here so far. And otherwise, just I do like doing like travel. Just if you've seen my Instagram, which
Yes.
is yeah, I do love just visiting like nearby stuff because I think there's like so much just there's a lot of beauty in just everywhere around you, and like you just have to go looking for it. So just visiting like some small thing like a little town nearby, or I don't know, some like little waterfall in like some forest nearby. It's something like just little like that I just like doing sometimes in my free time.
I really like your perspective, and I completely agree with you. There's beauty in everything as long as you try to find it. And especially if you have an eye for photography, or if you're keen on developing that eye, certainly going out, just even in your neighborhood or not too far away, can help practice and just being able to observe symmetries or reflections, or I guess in your case also anything related to architecture. Any other things that you do? Any sports?
Sports, I used to play, I've played soccer, tennis, volleyball, um, but I don't play them like regularly enough. I actually wish I played more, but it's just once you like stop playing, it's kind of hard to get back into the like rhythm and whatnot. But yeah, it's really fun too. I just haven't really been able to recently.
One last question regarding GeoGuessr, and then I'll have a thematic interview question set for you. How would you like to see the community evolve or the game evolve? If you have any thoughts around this, every time I've asked this question, every time I've gotten different answers, and actually I find it fascinating to see what people think in terms of what they'd like to see in the coming months or years, either from the game itself, because maybe something bothers you, maybe like the world map in Jules, or maybe the way the community is structured or the interaction that you'd like to see more of or less of. Any thoughts around this?
I think GeoGuessr as a game, it's obviously like a pretty simple game, and I think the point of it is not to try and like overcomplicate it. And so I think that as a game, it's like pretty good. As a community, I think the direction is also in the right direction. We are seeing like a lot more of just like interaction, and at least with the rainbow tournaments, for example, it's brought like more attention to. I don't want to like just say like put the spotlight on these players because obviously like it's a just a game that everyone can enjoy, but it's brought more fun to the game, just like bringing or like yeah bringing people together as well, just the tournaments. And
Are you going to participate to the next World Cup?
it depends because yeah, with the Paris one, I was lucky to be in Europe during that time, and so it was just like yeah, I'll go and attend that because why not? It's like such a good opportunity. But if I'm back in the U.S. and it's in Europe again, then it might not be so difficult. It might not be so easy, especially like with the timing, like in October, like when
Yeah.
I'm like in school or something.
One last question. I said it was last question regarding GeoGuessr.
Oh, good.
Any tip you can share regarding Georgia, so people can guess Georgia a bit better when they go on Street View or GeoGuessr?
Okay. Georgia, let's see. It's a pretty difficult state, honestly. Like I don't think people like to joke about like Southern roulette. Like literally all the southern states are the same and like they look the same and you could just pick one and take a 1 in like 7 chance. But I guess for Georgia specifically, like there is a lot of diversity in the landscape, in my opinion at least. Like if you go in the north, there's pretty significant mountains, then the Appalachian Mountains, and then in the south there's like a lot of swampland, and there's like the Piedmont area, which is like rolling hills, and just knowing which areas are like more flat, more hilly. There's in the northwest of the state, there's the Ridge and Valley region, so it's like pretty specific because there's like these long ridges and then valleys, which are pretty easy to make out on Google Maps. So
Very nice. I think the combination of your insights just now and your Instagram photos can maybe help. Right?
Yeah.
Identify Georgia. All right. You're going to pick a number between 1 and 14. And ideally not choosing 5 or 9 because they've already been chosen, but that's fine if you want to choose them.
Okay.
It's just for the surprise in case you've seen some of the other interviews. This is going to be a set of different interview questions. Same rules apply. You don't have to answer all of them. And they're supposed to be either fun or serious or crazy. You choose the way you respond. It's meant to be rapid fire in terms of answers. So don't sweat it. Just tell me what comes to your mind. So which number would you like to choose between 1 and 14?
Let's go with 12.
12. All right. This is the interview in the name of love.
Okay.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Would you be ready to, in the name of love, number 1, to quit your job or quit your studies in your case?
In the name of love? I don't think so, just because I'm like so close to like I feel like I'm at a point where in my life where like I'm getting close to that, like being in my second year of college. So yeah, no, I would say no.
Question number 2. Would you be ready to live in the city or village or town you were born in?
Considering where I was born, yeah, I would say that I would be in the name of love, yes.
Question number 3. Would you be ready to commit a crime?
No. I'm just, yeah, I don't think I would do that.
Would you be ready to hide someone, your spouse or your girlfriend, just killed?
Who just killed someone, or like, what do you mean?
Hide the body, right? That your girlfriend would have just killed, murdered.
Oof, I don't think so. Again, no.
Would you be ready to fake your own death?
Fake my own death?
Hey, believe it or not, Radu, before you answer the question, believe it or not, some people have done that. I don't know.
Sure
I don't know what they're
have,
thinking.
yeah.
Just to then say, hey, I'm actually not dead. Hello, in the name of love, right? For their spouse.
I don't think I could, because I don't know. I think just like I would care too much about what other people would feel. Like I could not. No.
Would you be ready to escape from jail?
Escaping from jail would be cool. So yeah, sure.
One answer, one yes. Woohoo! Would you be ready to no longer eat pizza and ice cream, assuming you like those?
Together or separate? Obviously, I don't eat them together. But I'd say yeah, I can give up pizza and ice cream. So yes.
Okay. All right. Would you be ready to cut your hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not too much to ask. All right, that's fair. Be careful because this is recorded, right? So one day it might bite you, right? Might bite you in return.
Boy.
Would you be ready to move to a country 10,000 kilometers away from where you live currently?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
Would you be ready to move to a country where it's way too hot or way too cold for your liking?
Ooh. See, this is something that I've actually thought of because having lived in Georgia, I just take like hotness for granted, and going to cold places, like I've just realized like, wow, I could not live here. So cold, no, but I think hot I could.
Very hot? Too hot for you?
I don't know if I would want to live in a desert, let's say, but I think somewhere like closer to the equator would be completely fine for me.
Okay. Would you be ready, in the name of love, to have to learn a new language and never speak your native language anymore, or native languages anymore?
I think I could do that just because I do have experience with learning other languages. So yeah.
And be ready to never speak Romanian or English anymore?
If that's what it takes. I mean, sure.
And final question, in the name of love, would you be ready to get beaten up by the person you love?
I don't know how beaten up this would be, so I would say only to an extent, but like not a lot.
All right, you succeeded. Thank you, Radu, for going through this crazy thematic set of questions in the name of love. A lot of no's, a few yeses. Okay. All right, Radu, thank you so much for your time. I think we have a good overview. I already took quite a bit of your time, actually. Time flies. But it's always like this when I'm meeting with fascinating, interesting people with a lot of interesting things that they have to say. So thank you so much for your time. It was lovely to meet you and to get to know you.
You know what they say, time flies when you're having fun. So yeah, it was good to meet you too. Yeah, thanks for having me on.